Are we online?
Yep.
Okay, great. Okay, welcome. Thanks everybody for joining, both here in our office in Shanghai, Dezan Shira office, and also online. My name is Adam Livermore. I'm one of the partners at Dezan Shira, and I'm happy to welcome you to join us. For those of us joining online, I think there's far more people online. We have a huge storm in Shanghai today. And so while we expected a full room at this time, I know we're a little bit late starting. We still have a lot of people to come, and they'll probably arrive wet and and a little bit stressed. So we'll try to minimize the disruption when they do that. But there may be some more people coming in as we go forwards. So apologize for that in advance. First of all, I'd like to say thank you to a few people before we start properly. First of all, Nicholas Jai from CBBC. And he's been coordinating and supporting us with this event and other events over the past couple of years. We're very grateful to your organization and yourself for all the help, and we look forward to working with you more and more. And also to Alessio from the EU SME Centre as well, who've also been helping us with the coordination and raising participants for this event. So thanks very much to both those organizations. In a minute, Nicholas will speak a little bit about both of these organizations. Internally, we have Grant and Maria on our UK desk, who have put a lot of effort into making this happen today, and also from our group marketing team, especially Lauren and Dana. So thanks for those contributions as well. So this is basically a UK-oriented event that we're doing. So I think I should just very briefly mention the success of the England football team last night. I'm not that young, but it's the first time in my life that my football team gets to the final of a championship. So it's a big deal. I was watching it last night, and it was a full stadium, and there's a lot of excitement, and it was great, basically. Today, for our event, we don't have quite as full a stadium, at least right now here, but we have a couple of hundred people online, I think. As for the excitement, we'll be talking about accounting and joint venture law, so probably not as interesting as the football last night, but I'm sure Jenny and Alan will do their best to make it as interesting for everyone. I'll introduce them briefly, starting with Jenny. Jenny Liao in the front here. Saying hello, Jenny. She's been managing our accounting services team here in Shanghai since about 2013, and she also manages the team in Suzhou and Ningbo. So over the time she's been managing this team, our service line has become wider, more sophisticated, and improved. So today she'll be talking about some of the financial related issues that we see with our clients in the JV area. She'll be speaking first, basically. And then secondly, Alan Xu. Alan, say hello. Alan manages our business advisory team and providing services in a wide range of legal related areas, basically. She's been with us for almost 6 years here in Shanghai, and also has developed that team into providing more sophisticated services that we were able to previously. So both these ladies have been very instrumental in our company's development here in Shanghai. Alan's going to be talking about, obviously, the legal related issues relating to JVs and the kind of things we see. Just very quickly, I'll do 2 slides on Dezan Shira. Grant, if you don't mind.
Clicker.
Clickers here, okay. This way. It doesn't move. Maybe you can do it from there. I think most of you know Dezan Shira and Associates. We are a consulting company, and established in 1992. We have around 300 people these days, of which maybe 220 of them are based here in China. The rest of them are in India, Vietnam, Singapore, Hong Kong, and now Indonesia. Our clients come from all over the world, and we have around 2,000 of them, multinationals. We have a handful of Chinese clients, not a lot, more and more, but that's not our key focus. And we have 24 offices around the regions I just mentioned. And this is what we do. Today we'll be talking mainly around the areas of legal, corporate, tax structuring, these kind of things. But we're also doing all these other things as well, as you can see on the slide here. I won't go through them in detail, just to say that we're very happy to provide these services, but also to collaborate with partners and other organizations in any of these areas. So it's very interesting to see we have a wide range of companies and organizations joining us today. That's all I really want to say about Dezan Shira, because I think most of you know a bit about us at least. So maybe I can hand over to Nicholas to say a few things about CBBC and EU SME.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good afternoon, everyone. Thanks a lot for coming to Dezan Shira's office today. It's raining heavily outside. So as we're now presenting, we still have more and more participants coming in. But just a hi to all those who are listening online. This is Nicholas from China-Britain Business Council. So for those who are not familiar with us, we are the UK's national business network for China. So we are also an official delivering partner for the Department for International Trade of the UK government. So we do a lot of stuff with the DIT, but also with businesses and Chinese governments. So we have B2B, B2G relationship. In terms of our offering to members, basically we do 3 A's: advice, analysis, and access. And I mean, these 3 A's are pretty easy to understand. We provide sector advice, we provide cross-sector advice for our members. We do loads of analysis and review for our members to keep them updated. But also we have access, providing access for our members to the government bodies, but also to other businesses. So that's the easiest part. And most recently, we've been doing more and more in terms of advocacy. So this is a snapshot of a virtual delegation actually taking place 2 days ago. So we had a delegation of over 20 major UK businesses meeting Premier Li Keqiang online. And that's very good feedback received already from both the members, but also the media in the UK and in China. So we are landing very strongly in a positive note in terms of UK-China business relationship. More specifically, we also have paid services, and these are the names: China Gateway, China Navigator, and Launchpad. I won't go too much into detail, but just very briefly, Gateway is a consultancy service we provide for our companies, member companies who are interested to know more about Chinese market. Navigator is a retainer-based services, so we deploy CBBC specialists from 8 different sectors to work on behalf of our member companies, for example, attending trade shows, etc. Launchpad is a most cost-efficient and effective way for some UK companies who want to enter Chinese market, but they don't want to hire staff immediately, or they don't want to set up WFOE immediately. So these are the paid services we offer our members, and it's really working well with great satisfaction. Enough about CBBC. So moving on to our partners. So a third co-hosting partner of today's event, EU SME Centre. If Grant can help me click to the next page. Yes. So the EU SME Centre is also supporting today's event really well. And we, as CBBC, we are also an implementing partner for the EU SME in China, as you can see from the screen. So the EU SME is actually an EU-funded project from 2010, and now we are in the phase 3, and the previous 2 phases also range 18 months each. And 8 chambers of commerce and trade associations like the CBBC currently in China, and we have around 270 government agencies and business partners in China. In terms of services, USME provides knowledge center, advice services, training center, but also advocacy platform. And USME is targeting, as the name implicates, the services for small and medium-sized companies, European companies. And also the USME has free Ask Expert services. And after today's event, we'll be receiving a slideshow. Then you can have a look into this free services provided by USME. But also I have to highlight that we as a public sector, we as the trade association, we provide free services for our members, for our partners, but also the likes of the Dezan Shira today, are the real professionals in the industry, and they provide more professional, more over-rounded services to clients across the globe. So that's really it. Let's focus on today's content. I believe everyone comes here to hear what Alan and Jenny has to provide and has to offer today, and hear the expertise from Dezan and Shira. So thanks again for those who are online, and for those who are still coming into Shanghai office, wet and hot. So without further ado, perhaps I'll hand over to Alan, to Jenny first. Thank you.
Okay, thank you everyone. Thank you for your coming to attend today's seminar. So my name is Jenny Liao. I'm the Senior Manager of Corporate Accounting and Audit Service based in this insurance Shanghai office. So as just Adam introduced, Alan will be also the co-speaker. So two of us will give the presentation to all the audience and the attendants. Today, we will discuss about the topic of joint venture risk management in China. Joint venture actually is a very popular investment channel that can help the investor to start the business in China. So, however, there are some joint ventures sometimes will raise some concerns because two parties, they will work together, will run the business together. So normally they will have some conflicts and risks. This concern, we feel in the past year, we feel it's become more and more strict because it's after COVID-19 happened, and it's also because of the foreign travel restriction. So let me back to the content. So the content will include 3 parts. First, we'll start from the case study. Second is how to control the risk in your China JV. And the third is relevant legal requirements under the foreign investment law. So we start from the case study. We will introduce 2 actual JV cases that has some incomplete and the potential fraud risks detected at the manager level and the shareholder level. So after the sharing, we will discuss about the detective and the control measures from both finance and the legal perspective. The relevant legal requirements that will certainly will be introduced by Alan later. So let's start about how to introduce the case. This is one of periodical financial review case that we did in the past. So it's a JV company. It was invested by 2 shareholders, shareholder A and shareholder B. Shareholder A is the major shareholder and B is the minor one. The JV has produced the products, use the shareholder A's name and the branding, and they engage the DSA to do the periodical review every quarter. So DSA team, we visited the plant to review the financial report, bookkeeping records, and also supervise the business activity. There are some interesting things happened during our last year's second quarter review. We found that the shareholder B, they signed a new big client. It's a quite famous client. However, we found that all the business sales transaction under this client's name, the profit margin is much lower than the usual company gross margin. So we have some we interviewed some people. We checked the bookkeeping records, and we realized they claimed the business that is happened between the joint venture and the new client. But however, as I just said, we reviewed the book. we found actually there's no actual business between them. That means from the invoice, from the delivery note, all this from the payment, there's no clue. And we found that there's a third party involved. And all the PO was initialed from the third party company. And certainly the joint venture will issue the invoice to the third party. The delivery is just between the joint venture and the third party company. Then the third party will deliver the goods to the new big client. The payment certainly will from the new big client to the third party company. And the third party will transfer the money to the joint venture. But however, we are quite concerned about the payment, where the third party transfer the joint venture is the same as the big company, the new big company to the third party. We feel that probably has some difference, the gap. So we guess the payment 2 in the flow, the payment 2 probably will be much lower than payment 1. And finally, because a lot of information was published in the official website, so we realized actually the shareholder B is the third party's shareholder. Oh, sorry. And obviously, we can see the flow is not that as usual as the normal business, sales business, right? We raised the findings to the shareholder A, and per their request, we performed a further investigation, and we collect a lot of other documents, other evidence. So the shareholder A realized probably shareholder B is doing his own business and gain some benefit from the JV company. So there's some negotiation between the shareholder A and the shareholder B, because a lot of evidence we have. So finally, after several negotiation, the 2 shareholder A and the 2 shareholders, they agreed to maintain a certain profit margin under the JV. So, but anyway, it could be, that means that we help the shareholder to find this kind of fraud in time and stop this kind of behavior in timely. So this case demonstrates that the type of risk that can occur between the 2 shareholders in a JV structure, because one party has limited access on-site supervision, because I just mentioned the travel restriction that caused the shareholder A cannot come to China. So the shareholder, a lot of things was handled by shareholder B. So this is the one case. Another case, that's the background. Actually, this case is because of the company chop and the certificates abused by local management. This is a manufacturing company based in Nantong, Jiangsu province. It's also jointly owned by 2 shareholders. Let's say it's a shareholder A and a B again. The shareholder A was stuck outside China in 2020. The company's key chop and certificates that was held by the GM based in China, because they claim that it's for the easy daily business operation. And in middle of 2020, the shareholder A received some information from a local whistleblower about some incompliant behavior of the local management. So DSA was assigned as the auditor to perform a detailed review to help the shareholders to understand the situation and assess and to try to see how to resolve the problem. After our review, it was noted that the general manager used the company chop and certificate to make a financial investment using the company fund. There are some special rules, because there are some special rules that and required for the enterprise to finance investment behavior. So they use the GM set a personal private account and arrange the money transfer from the company bank into the personal private bank from time to time. This kind of arrangement actually is cooperated with their local cashier. So he made some fake reimbursement, designed some service purchase transactions, and make fake employees records and claiming for salary and social insurance payments. When the payment was arranged, it was transferred into his personal account, and because the general manager holds the company job, so it's very easy for he to handle that. And certainly the cashier's help certainly make it much simpler. After understanding the whole situation, so the investors decided to get rid of the local management. So we helped the client the shareholders to collect the evidence again, and finally they lay off these people. So this case provides another example as why it is important to stay good understanding of local JV's financials. First, you should understand the financials. Second is legal control need to be considered well, especially to the party who was actually in the possession of the company sales and the certificates. From above two cases, we can see there are actually some finance signals of potential issues that could happen in a joint venture. For example, some key ratios shown that uninsured fractions suddenly increase or decrease a lot, developing the large business with a big new clients or supplies, or even the business model makes change. Sometimes some company, first they mainly get involved of the trading, then they have a lot of service, consulting service or a manufacturing. They start to sell non-production goods. So this kind of business change, that could be a point that make to let the shareholders to pay more attention on that. That does not mean if this change will cause fraud, certainly. That just it could be a point to keep people, to keep the management, to keep the shareholders to pay more attention on that. So if this kind of signals happened, or even and sometimes it may be more signal happens, that could be a starting point to have a new, how to say, new control or new plan, new management plan. Okay, and we also give you some prevention and detection measures that you can take reference from the finance point of view. This can be the first, you can, one is the solid internal control designation and the implementation, especially on the cash internal management control, also the trademark control, the sale management, and it could be the if you have some already have some detection or management approach, that will be good. But if you said we don't have any detection method, then we can introduce we probably will suggest our client to consider the internal supervision and the outside finance supervision together. So the internal auditor, if you use the internal supervision, the internal auditor plays a supervision role, and the unusual fraction or big change can be noted by the person directly. The external periodical financial review can be done by a third party. Like our first case, the unusual situation was noted and detected by DSA, by us, during our quarter review. And the suspicious profit transfer behavior at that moment we see was stopped in time. Okay, in summary, the common risk and the issues for joint venture should be included the loss of control of JV, the random distribution of powers and the profession and the personal arrangements, contribution of IP rights and abuse sales and the certificates. Okay, that's my part, and I will hand it to Alan.
Yeah, so thanks for Jenny's sharing. So now we can look at the common risks and issues for the JV from the legal perspective. So first one is lose control of the JV. So we know that control of the JV should be a major problem for JV. So a lot of investors will think about maybe you want to have more shares of the JV because you think it's very safe for you if you can have the more shares of the JV and you can have the control of the JV. But control doesn't only mean that you have more shares, but also means you can have the more voting rights or dividend rights of the JV. So if you cannot put the great mechanism at the initial stage, so it will bring a lot of problems to the JV in the future. So second part, we can see that the random distribution of the powers and the personnel arrangement. So getting more corporate control in the JV would also grant you more powers to have the more interest. So due to the COVID-19, we know that a lot of foreigners, they cannot come to China, and or sometimes they don't want to come to China, or they never come to China because they think Chinese market, maybe they just start from a very small business, or they think they can fully rely on their business partners in Chinese market. But sometimes the investors came to us and say that, okay, we found something wrong, as Jenny just introduced the two cases to us, and they think maybe they want to take some action. At that time, they found it's very difficult for them to take the action because they found that the key departments or the key personnel are totally controlled by the business partners or their representatives in China. So at that moment, it's quite difficult for them to access to their financial statement, to the bank accounts. You don't know how much money in your bank accounts, right? And it's very difficult for them to check the charts or the certificates and the key documents. So that's the second part we want to highlight here. Third part about the contribution of the intellectual property rights. So we all know that the IP rights will be deemed as the intangible assets of the company. It will help you to strengthen the soft power of the company, and also can get the company have more sustainable development. And at the entry stage, some investors come to China and they want to contribute to their IP rights, for example, the trademark, and they think it's a way to save their initial investment. So they can cooperate with the Chinese or the other business partners in China. And actually, they don't really know what's the meaning of contribution. So sometimes the contribution means the ownership transfer of this trademark. So if they don't know understand the meaning of the contribution and they already make that commitment in writing, so it's dangerous for these partners to lose the control of these IP rights. Right? And the first part, abuse of the seals and the certificates. So from the second case shared by Jenny, we know that it's very important for the companies to keep these seals and the certificates of this JV. So in China, we know that the company chart and the business license has the greatest power. But in other cities or in other countries, maybe the signature of the chairman of the board has the greatest power. So it's the difference between the Chinese company and the overseas company. I think if you already know that the company seal and the business license has the greatest power, so we need to keep these sales certificates and also the key documents like the shareholder agreement, articles of association, the license agreement, something like that. And abuse of the company seals and certificates also may impose the adverse influence on the company and even will be involved in the crime. Okay, let's move to the section 2, how to control the risks in your Chinese JV. Okay, so a lot of companies come to China, they want to set up the JV, and sometimes we will say, okay, do you know your business partner? So maybe the clients say, oh, this company just introduced by my friend or a friend's friend. And we have some information from my friend, or we just research some information online. So yeah, let's do this. Let's start the formation as soon as possible. But it's quite dangerous to marry a stranger, right? So yeah, so we need to know who we marry, and we need to know their financial capacity, their legal status, and the credit condition. So it's very important. And usually we will suggest our client to do a small DD or a background check like this. So all these items will be included in our background check. So for example, you need to know the basic information about this company. For example, who will be the legal rep, and how is what's the business scope of this company, what they can do in China, and how much had been contributed by the company as the registered capital, right? And also we need to know who is the shareholder. Is that a state-owned company, or do they have some state-owned or some related background for this company? And the last two parts also very important: the lawsuit records and the public filings. And one client came to us, and they found that their business partner received the administrative penalty just in the last year. So they wanted us to make assessment on, is that risky to have business with this company? So we also will disclose this part in the background check. And if you conduct such kind of background check for the business partner, so it will give you the preliminary idea about the company's financial capability and the legal and compliance the status. Okay. Design of the voting rights and the dividend rights. So we just mentioned the voting rights and the dividend rights in the previous slide. And a lot of companies know that usually the shares of the JV they can obtain is based on the ratio of the capital contribution. But actually, they don't know that actually the voting rights and the dividend rights also can be negotiated with their business partner. And it can be not in proportion of the capital contribution. So for example, if you will be the minority shareholder of this company, but you can bring a lot of resources to this company. For example, you can share your supplier who can provide the cheaper raw materials to the company, or you can let the JV rely on your distribution channel. So or the company can contribute to their IP rights, for example, the know-how or the trademark. So definitely you can negotiate with your business partner and have more voting rights and dividend rights when you form the JV. Yeah, and also we listed the two clauses here for your easy reference. And the law also says that usually it should be based on the ratio of the capital contribution, but it also can be decided just based on the agreement with your business partners. Yeah. Oh, before we show the next slide, I want to ask one question. So you think how many shares you can have from the JV that let you control this JV? So how many percentage do you think? 51? That's the same answer for all the audience? 51? 51? It's the common answer, I think, from the audience, yeah. So is that true? Yeah, so from this clause, we can see that actually, if you want to increase the registered capital of the company, reduce the capital of the company, or do the merger and acquisition, division, dissolution, change the company structure, the law says that it should be passed by the shareholders holding 2/3 or more of the voting rights. So it means that actually, if you hold the shareholding, which is 66.7% or even more, then you can have the the right to pass all the resolutions about these material items. So that's very important. So if you have the 51% of this the voting rights in the shareholder meetings. So it means that you have the relative control of the JV. But if you can have the 66.7% or even more voting rights in the company, so it means that you can have the absolute control of this JV. Yeah. Okay. So we discussed about the personnel and the management team here. So we listed the key positions here for the reference. So we know that if you want to form a company in China, you need to appoint someone to be the legal rep, right? And if you want to form a JV, so probably you can form a board of directors under the JV. So if you are the majority shareholder, so 3 of them, maybe 5 persons, 3 of them can be appointed by the majority shareholder, and the 2 can be appointed by the minority shareholder. And so probably the majority shareholder can take the position chair of the board. And also the board can appoint 1 person to be the general manager. But general manager is not the mandatory position, so you can decide to choose to appoint 1 or not. And also, you know that the supervisor is also a compulsory position, should be filed with the government. So at least we need to appoint 1 person to be the supervisor. And the finance manager, procurement manager, and the sales manager are also very critical position to the JV. So if you want to appoint someone to be the these senior executives of the JV, so I think you need to take a look at their background to see whether they are the suited person to take this position. And the law also says that some person, if they meet a certain criteria and or they violates of the laws, then they cannot take this position. So for example, if you find some person has acted as the legal rep of a company which has its business license revoked or being ordered to close down for a breach of the law and who is personally accountable, and a 3-year period has not lapsed since the revocation of the business license of such company. So this guy cannot take these senior positions in the JV. So the background check for the senior person is also very critical. Yeah. And also when you appoint someone to be the senior executive in your company, so we suggest the company to list down the authorization of this person. So yeah, so you need to let them know that who you can do, what you can do and what you cannot do. Maybe for the very big amount investment, you need to deliver this project to the shareholder meeting or the board meeting for discussion. Then you can make the decision to extend this plan. So that's very important. And also for the qualification and the obligation part. So we all know that for the senior person, you need to bear the fiduciary duty and should not abuse the duties and the rights to receive bribes or other illegal income, and should not convert the company's assets. So if you found some person already do something wrong and maybe they seized the commercial opportunities for themselves and they sacrificed the opportunities for the company and have some illegal income for themselves, then probably you can lay off this person from the company, and also you can sue this person if he already caused the damages to the company. Yeah. So first, next part about the safe custody of seals and certificates. So we know that the certificates and the seals are critical to the company, and sometimes the foreign investors, they come to us and say, oh, I think it's very important to keep them. So can we put all these seals and the certificates at our headquarters? So we don't suggest to do so, because it's very important for the local person to have these seals and certificates when they do the daily operation. So for the to transfer some payments, maybe you need to go to the bank and use your company seal or the financial seal. And also, if we want to check some documents, and we also need to show our company charts and the business license. So it's not convenient to keep these seals and the certificates at the headquarters. And if you already have a mature internal local team, and you can design your own internal approval procedures. So who will be the top user requester, and who will be the approver, and who will keep these documents in the company. So you can design these internal approval procedures by yourself. But also you can assign the third party, like DSA, to keep these COs and certificates. And we must keep these the COs and certificates, because if we lose the company chart or the business license, it's very troublesome for us to apply for a new one. We have one client, and the legal rep can fly to Shanghai and to apply for the company chart and the business license. It took around 3 to 4 months to get a new one. And we also needed to make the newspaper announcement and to prepare all the resolutions and the application forms. So it's quite troublesome. So that's why we suggest the client to keep these seals and certificates. IP rights and trade secrets protection. So we know that some client, we mentioned before that some client, they want to save the initial investment. So they want to contribute to their IP rights, for example, the trademark in China. Then if you want to make the capital contribution in cash, definitely it can be approved by the government. And if you want to make the capital contribution in kind, so for the non-cash properties, the government will request you to do the valuation and the verification. So you need to hire a third party to do the valuation and the verification. And also, for example, if you want to contribute to the trademark, and the ownership transfer formalities should be done when you make the commitment. Yeah. So if you don't want to totally lose control of these IP rights, so we suggest our client to just sign a license agreement with the JV. So you can receive the license fee from the company, and you also can let the JV or the local business partner to use your brand. So it's a good way for the client to think about. Share transfer and termination and liquidation. So actually it belongs to the exceed the mechanism. So some clients came to us and say, hey, we have some problems with our business partners. So what should I do? And how can I exceed the company? So if you have some problems with your girlfriend or boyfriend, probably you will say, please talk to me, right? So you need to have a talk. So first, then usually we will suggest our client to just talk to your business partners. We want to know, so what happened and what we can do to let this JV go into the right direction. And if at that moment the business partner, they don't want to talk to you, and they didn't reply to your email, they didn't answer your phone call, so maybe we can think about other ways to exit the JV. So equity transfer shall be a way, because the law says that the shareholders may transfer all or part of their equity interest among themselves. So it means that if you want to sell these shares, and it can be sold to the other party, the shareholder, and if you didn't receive any replies from this the other party, the shareholder, then definitely you can sell these shares to a non-shareholder, I mean the other third party. Yeah, but you need to follow the legal procedures, and then you can sell these shares to other third party. So first you need to send at least a written notice to the other party and say that, hey, I want to have this share transfer and to another third party. So do you agree? So if you don't agree, please acquire my shares. So if you don't agree, then you didn't acquire these shares. So it means that I can transfer these shares to the other third party. Yeah. So probably all these procedures should be completed first, then you can sell these shares to any third party. And also, please be noted that the other shares should have the preemptive rights to acquire such equity interest on the similar terms. So if you already make the decision to sell to the non-shareholder, the third party. So that's why we mentioned you need to check with your shareholder on the similar terms. Do they want to buy your shares? So it's also a legal procedures. And if you already faced the deadlock and it's not easy for you to talk to your business partner, so we also can trigger another procedures. So if you found that the company's operation is not good, or even the company experienced serious difficulties in the business, and the shareholders will suffer the serious damages if the company continues its operation. So as the shareholder holding 10% or more shares of this company, then you can request for a mandatory dissolution of the company. So you can file the case with the People's Court. Yeah, so for this part, we just want to remind our client that the well preparation can protect you when you face the challenges. So we know that when you form the JV at the initial stage, it's very important for us to prepare the shareholder agreement and the articles of association. So in the past, usually the government will give the approval on the shareholder agreement and the articles of association because the government want to control the JV. But now they already loosen all the policies, and you just need to prepare the shareholder agreement and articles of association and submit it to the government for filing. Yeah, so that's the difference. And also, please pay attention to the equity transfer agreement, intercompany service agreement, license agreement, and other documents. And it can help you to save a lot of troubles in the future. Yeah. Okay, section 2, relevant legal requirements under the PRC foreign investment law. And we know that on 1st January 2020, and the new foreign investment law already came into effect. And also this new law replaced the foreign investment related laws, for example, the EJV law, CJV law, and the WFI law. And but the government encouraged all the company to have a review on your current documents. So if all the documents you have is not consistent with the company law, so please make all these revision within the 5-year transition period. So for your easy reference, we already listed this difference in the slides. Yeah. So let's look at the certain items. For example, the highest authority. So you can see that under the EJV law, the highest authority is the board of directors. And under the CJV law, it's the board of directors or the joint management committee. But under the company law, we can see that it's totally different. The highest authority is the shareholders meetings. Okay, and for this part, you can see who can take the position of legal representative. So under the EJV law, the chairman can take this position. The CJV law, the chairman or the head of the joint management committee can take this position. But under the company law, chairman can take this position, executive director can be the legal rep or the general manager. So it's different. And also for the transfer of shares, you can see under the EJV law, if you want to transfer the shares and you needed to get the unanimous agreement of the other shareholders. Under the CJV law, it's the same rules here. And under the company law, you just need to pass by a simple majority of voting rights by the shareholders. So it's different. Yeah. Okay, that's all for my sharing today from the legal perspective. And so here you can see we have not only the China briefing and also the Vietnam briefing, India briefing, ASEAN briefing can share all this information with you. And we also have the WeChat account online. So we also will share the latest information about all these industries, and you can follow us on WeChat. Okay, That's our contact information. So if you have very specific questions, so we will be happy to answer that. Yeah, that's all. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Jenny and Alan. And we're not quite at 5 o'clock. What we planned to do was have a question and answer session quickly, and then after that, for those that are actually here in our office, and I'll go near the speaker. Thank you. For those in our office, glad to tell the people online that we have quite a lot more people in the office now. The storm seems to be passing. We will have some networking and some drinks and snacks a little bit later, so please do hang around. But first of all, we'll do maybe 10-15 minutes questions and answers if we do have some. So let's see, Jenny, Alan, would you like to maybe bring a chair and put here? And then we can just reorganize the room quickly. While we're doing that, Grant, did you manage to get those 2 QR codes from Lauren by chance? There we go. Can the online people see this? Yeah, okay. I just take this opportunity while we're setting up. You can see the screen here. Most of you probably know our China Briefing magazine. It contains a lot of interesting information about investment in China, basically. Put a lot of effort into making this. And just for this particular event, we have this magazine. Actually, we put it together in 2019, New Foreign Investment Law in China. Alan's just been talking about it. Of course, it's already 2021 now, we know. But if you are interested to understand more about the specifics of that, please have a look at this magazine. You can download it here, or for those that are here in the office, we have them in the lobby, like here. And on the left-hand side here, this is our most recent magazine. This is on the e-fapiaos, e-invoices, which is a big topic in China right now. And we've got 18 pages of information on this, which we just put together this month. So I know it's not relevant for today's event, but for those that are interested in this financial related stuff, that's quite a hot topic right now. Okay, so we have our, let's see how we get this down. We have our panelists ready. I hope we have some questions, do we, Grant? Or yes. Shall we start from there?
Yeah, so I think we can take a few questions from you guys, if you have any. If not, we can go straight to the questions from our online audience. Yeah, I think that might be you guys.
I think what we're going to do, if we have questions for the audience here, we'll let the person ask and then we'll repeat into the microphone again.
Yeah, so just let the online audience hear as well. Okay. So any questions from the online audience? Yes.
Yeah. Are there any special items you need to pay attention to if you want to do a JV with state-owned?
With the state-owned?
I'll repeat the question. Question is, are there any special things to be considered if doing a JV with a state-owned company?
Yeah, so for the state-owned company, so I think usually you can rely on the state-owned company's relationship, yeah, or some resources. And we also have some clients, they have the JV with the state-owned company. So probably they will set the certain target at the interest rate, right? And they want the foreign investment to come to China and then make the commitment how much you want to invest in China. Maybe it's a very big amount. So one client mentioned that they want the foreign investor to invest the 60 million USD. So that's a lot. And also they want the foreign investor to contribute all the capital within 1 year, the first year of the company's, after the company's registration. So that's the part you need to think about. So maybe to your cash flow, it's a quite big amount, right? And you need to prepare for that. And according to the law, actually, it's not the legal, the law's requirement. Maybe it's just the local government's requirement, and they want to, hit the KPI for that period or for that district. So it's negotiable, yeah. And also, if you already have the certain, MOU with this state-owned company, and maybe they will contribute their land use right, or they can contribute their lease or their plant, right? So probably as the foreign investor, you also need to check all these certificates of this landlord or the land use right contract. And because you will be the owner also, so you need to know all these details. And other part, I think, also for the shareholder agreement and also for the articles of association, which is mentioned, you need to negotiate how can we, decide the corporate governance part, who will take the chairman of the board, and if something happened, how can I exit the company? So we need to think about the worst situation and then put everything in the contract and articles of association to protect your interests.
Is there any problem of taking out dividend in this country?
I think we cannot say it's a big problem for you to work with the state-owned company about dividend repatriation, because the law also says that if this JV cannot contribute to any or repatriate any dividends to the shareholder, if you make a profit for 5 years, then you also can sue this company or sue the shareholder. That's the law will protect you. Yeah.
Vivian, you going to comment?
Yeah, I can supplement one. Oh, sorry. I can supplement one point. For example, if you want to acquire a state-owned company, become a JV company, right? So usually, according to the Chinese law, you need to get the special approval from the government. If the state-owned company, they want to sell partial shares to a foreign invested company. Yeah, so usually it takes a long time and it will delay the whole project. So be careful. Sometimes it's not easy to directly find your JV partner is a state-owned company. Maybe their grandmother or even highest level is state-owned company. They still need to follow the special approval.
Any other questions from you guys? No. Okay. We have a few from the online. So the one question is, they asked, we do not have an internal auditor function in our JV. What other mechanisms can we put in place for this? Jenny?
I think probably the company can think about to set the internal hotline or the email box that share with all the staff. So, and in some cases, we experienced that a lot of information actually is from the whistleblower because they know the details, and that normally will be the broken point. And certainly, as we just mentioned, if the finance people is qualified, professional, the finance people, they can realize some strange, they realize some strange signal, then they can report to the management or to the shareholders. Yeah, that's my answer.
And maybe I can comment. We also have audit team within Dezan, Shira & Associates that kind of goes around and does these financial reviews for clients, and that can supplement as well. It's not a replacement for the internal control, but as Jenny was explaining in the presentation, it can assist certainly with identifying anything that might be going wrong.
Okay. Okay, then we have another question. So the other one is, what key issues can we discuss with our joint venture partners?
Yeah. So maybe I already answered a little bit about these questions. So actually I mentioned about the capital contribution and also the contribution method. So you want to contribute in cash or in kind, I will just mention in the slides. And also you can discuss the voting rights and the dividend rights when you form the shareholder agreement and the articles of association. And also for the corporate governance, so how many shareholders can be appointed by our side? So as the majority shareholder or as the minority shareholder. And also, if you want to pass some resolutions as the minority shareholder, maybe your situation is very weak, right? So sometimes if you want to have the more power in the board, then you can say that all the resolutions shall be passed by all the shareholders. You can raise that questions to the company when you form this company. And also in the in the shareholder agreement, we also can mention the liability of the breach, because shareholder agreement about how to form the JV and also its agreement. So if the other party already make the commitment to say that, okay, we will contribute maybe $1 million USD within the first 3 years, and they didn't achieve this target, you also can ask the penalty and ask the other party to pay the compensation to you. Yeah. So yeah, that's my question. That's my answer. Sorry. Yeah.
And then we have one more question. He is asking which law is actual, EJV, CJV, or company?
EJV law is I think about the equity JV, and also CJV is the cooperative JV, and the WFP law is the holding foreign owned enterprise law. So these 3 laws have been replaced by the foreign investment law from the 1st January 2020. So actually, the 1st January 2020, the foreign investment law is just a very high-level laws to talk about the foreign investment company. And if you want to know how to form the JV, you need to refer to the company law. So that's the main law you can take a look at, and a lot of details already put in the company law. So actually, there is no difference between the formation for the domestic company and the foreign invested company. Maybe the application documents are different, but the main idea is the same. Yeah.
Is there such a thing as a priority share in a Chinese company?
Preferential share?
Yeah, so preferential share. Yeah.
I think this concept may be popular in the listed company, but in the limited liability company, we don't call it the preferential share or the priority share, but you can give the rights to certain shareholder when you form the JV, or you decided the clauses in the shareholder agreement and articles of association. Yeah. So yeah, so in Chinese, the limited liability company, we don't have such kind of concept. Yeah, the clause can be put in the articles of association and the shareholder agreement to protect the shareholders' rights. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I think that's all from the online side. Does anyone else have any other questions?
I have a question about the foreign investment law. It looked to me like it's a little bit more open or a little bit easier than the old laws. Is there anything from that you noticed was more restrictive or was maybe more difficult than before?
Actually, so far no, because the government is improving the investment environment for all the foreign investors, especially at this stage, the post-COVID-19. So I think a lot of the foreign investors, they come to China because they think it's safe here, and they can see they can have the brisk business in Chinese market. So the government also received a lot of requests to set up maybe the SMD at this stage. So they will give very easy channel for you to know what you need to prepare and how can you invest in China. And maybe they also offer some tax incentives or tax reform to when you register in certain district. Yeah. So I think the environment is good.
One question on the non-disclosure: how easy is it really to enforce Chinese environment?
Non-disclosure.
Yeah, non-disclosure and you're not circumvention. How much power do they really have in Chinese environment?
I'll just repeat in case the online people can't hear. The gentleman is asking about non-disclosure and non-competition.
Yeah. Non-compete, those two you mentioned there, because as a foreigner, if you come in here and something with IP or something like that, and you've had a meeting, can we as foreigners really enforce it?
How practical is it to enforce these kind of clauses, even if you put them in place?
Yeah, so when you have the JV with your local partner or other business partner in China, so definitely you need to share some know-how or share some information with the business partner. And usually we will suggest our client first, you need to put the agreement in the place, right? And it will protect you when you face some challenges, at least on the paper. Yeah, and then we also encourage the company even to sign some confidential agreement with the employee or with, especially with the senior management, and to let them to know that what's the liability of the breach if you conduct such kind of,
So can you sue them individually?
Yes. And also we mentioned that if you already see that this senior management caused some damages to the shareholder or to the company, you also can let them to take the compensation liability.
Okay, so the key part is actually personal.
Yes.
That's the one that's.
Okay, maybe I can supplement something here. Alan, before joining us, was an arbitrator with the Shanghai Labour Arbitration Panel. So one of her specialities is actually terminating people. So we do a lot of that. So she does a lot of that. So that's obviously a part of these kind of disputes when it comes to that. It's not fun to do, is it? But
yeah, and always call me Terminator.
Any other questions? Yes, please.
Best JV structure, say 50-50, or no, one-third.
Definitely 50-50 is not a good structure.
Okay. So, I mean, what if it's a 50-50 JV structure? What advice do you have for this JV before setting it up?
Yeah, so if you have the 50-50 shares percentage of the company, so as we mentioned, you also can negotiate about the voting rights and dividend. But it can be not based on the capital contribution. So maybe you can have the more various distributing channel. Then you can ask to have maybe 60% or even 70%. Yeah, so that's your right to have the discussion or negotiation with the other party.
Yeah, Philip, I'm the host. Sorry.
Yes, I have a question coming back to what Jenny said with whistleblowers. So you mentioned that having a hotline where employees can raise issues will be very helpful. But how helpful is that really if your company is not very large and everybody knows everybody? And is there a possibility that you outsource this hotline, which I have heard from other companies, even very large companies? They have a service provider who takes over that so that their employees are encouraged to raise these questions and they don't circulate.
Yes, you give a very good suggestion, I think. Yeah, sometimes the company is very small and the people are afraid that if I tell something that everyone will know that could be one. Because in our past experience, some is because we engage by one shareholder and we realize there's some strange, and some is because of we received some like I just mentioned this with the how to say, the people that are inside of the company, they give some direct information that will be very, how to say, very direct for us to find the issue, and or the goal, the target is very clear. But certainly we represent our clients and or one of the shareholders or two shareholders. So we conduct this kind of a review to first to make sure the company, JV company, is in a compliant. First, compliant. Secondly, is there's no fraud, there's no any benefit was damaged, the company benefit damaged. So you suggest if there's any outside service provider can offer this kind of information channel, give the employee to have a way to, how to say, to report. But actually, in some interesting thing is that a lot of this kind of people, why they disclose this kind of information, because they have some issue at the benefit. How to say that is the because there's some And even to the benefit distribution, they have some conflict. At the beginning, they're happy, and then later they feel, you take more, I take less, or there's some conflict. So that happened. So anyway, thanks for your suggestion. I think that could be one.
Yeah, actually, some company they engage a third party to provide the so-called reporting or hotline services. Another benefit is if they just report to internal function, maybe they don't think this is serious, or maybe they're afraid the company know the name, right? Who reports? But if you report to the third party first, they will this agent or this third party will definitely keep it confidential who reports. And secondly, also usually the professional third party firm, they will take the legal rights, legal action. Comparing with your internal function, for example, you put your hotline as in your HR department or some compliance department, definitely the third party professional firm, they have more experience to handle this kind of reporting, either it's true or not, right? If they have some fake reporting, the third party firm can also take legal action against this fake reporter. Yeah, so they know this is a serious report, not just a joke or use it as a office medical thing.
Yeah, I would add that actually whistleblower is not really limited to JVs or even China. I mean, these kind of problems happen in all companies all over the world, and generally whistleblowers know what they do is not good for their career. And so if they do blow a whistle, they don't normally blow it that loudly. It's normally something vague and not that specific. Because of that, so therefore the company really has to look in more detail, more carefully, either internally or externally, to find out what is the real situation. It's rarely black and white, it's rarely 100% clear. So there's always more work to be done in these situations. Any other questions? No, actually, I have one last one. I shouldn't, because I'm the host, but I have one last one for Alan, if you don't mind. I was listening to what you were saying about EJB and CJB and the new law. So what about if you set up a JV under the previous law, maybe 2014, something like that, and it was in compliance with the EJB law at the time, but when it comes to 2020, based on the documents that are there, somehow it's not in compliance with the law now, what takes priority, or how does such a problem get resolved if no agreement can be reached with the Chinese shareholder?
So that's why the government already mentioned that we have the 5 years transition period. So please take a look at all these documents of the company. Then you need to make the revision to this document and file it with the government again. So we already have some companies come to us and want us to have a health check on all these documents and review this process if that complies to the current the laws and regulations.
So they have to renegotiate it. They have to get agreement with their partner.
Yeah, no. For some items, for example, the highest authority is not negotiable. It's the shareholder meeting. But for other parts, maybe as we mentioned, the voting rights. So you need to have the 2/3 or more voting rights, then you can pass the resolution. It can be negotiated. Yeah.
Okay, so it's time to say goodbye to our online participants.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So yeah, I just want to say thank you to everyone who joined offline and then online. I think for the online audience, we're going to stop it here. For the offline audience, we warmly invite you guys to stay. We have some wine, some food, so it'll be great to network a bit. We also have some chilled wine, so please feel free to stay and mingle a bit. I also want to introduce 2 or 3 people. Vivian Mao, she is our managing partner and M&A expert of our Shanghai office. She'll be joining as well. Then we have Victor, our international business advisor of Shanghai. He'll be attending, so please feel free to shake his hand. And then lastly, Simon, he is another international business advisor. He represents the German desk, travels quite a lot to Suzhou, as you know. So yeah, thank you, and yeah, enjoy, guys.
I should just finish by introducing Grant properly then. Grant's working with the UK desk, so he's also going to join us. And Roy, by the way, Roy's also working with our IT team here, made sure everything went well. But we're also providing IT services to our clients now as well, actually. So if you want to stay, Roy, and have a drink and whatever, I'm sure there might be some people interested to talk to you as well. So anyway, thank you everybody for coming.